120, 130 games.
Yeah. But obviously, bearing in mind, he's only 18. You know what I mean? So there ain't going to be no 18-year-old that's played that amount of games realistically, is there?
Pedri.
What, at 18?
Pedri's not 18.
Pedri's 21 now. Yeah. But again, there isn't many 18-year-olds in football that have played that amount of games.
Well, that's usually why for certain players in certain positions, you usually wait till like the 19, 20, and then people go out and buy them. I think the only reason why Man U and Liverpool and Madrid were going to look at buying them now is because when it comes to these kind of players,
they go Madrid or
2 years' time, the price goes from 30 million to 80 million.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense to go in for them, loan them out or something or whatever it is. Just find a way to get them experience. In that meantime,
the thing as well, Man United have made an investment. So whatever happens with Lenny Yoro, if they do sell him on in the future, they're going to make money from him more than what they've paid for him. If he stays, then that means Man United are in a good place. So whatever happens, they're gonna make their money one way or another from him, which is good. And obviously, again, for them to compete with Real Madrid in getting a player and then actually getting the player over him, again, is good for the club.
Out of all the centre backs, the young centre backs, she's one of the really good options in terms of investment.
Yeah, exactly.
The centre back I wanted was Calafiori. That was the first name I wanted.
Calafiori,
yeah. Well, Arsenal got him. If we got Bastoni, I'd be laughing.
Yeah,
but
in terms of if you went for him,
I think we can get him. I heard some loose links, but we'll see what goes on. I think we are in for a centre back. But in terms of
you've been linked with Zubimendi, innit?
Yeah, it's just how I see the Zubimendi thing. I think he'll be a Liverpool player.
I don't think he's going there.
And I think, well, put it this way, I don't think we would have gone so far down the road with Zubimendi unless we had some kind of inclination that he was willing to come.
Yeah.
Especially considering the fact that Hughes has dealt with his agent before and the club has dealt with his agent before. So his agent has he's the same agent as Xavi Alonso and another player that Bournemouth signed in the past. So they have like a working relationship. And when it comes to the Spanish league and buyout clauses, all you have to do is get an inkling from the player, sort out the contracts and pay the buyout clause. The only reason why I think it wouldn't happen immediately for Liverpool is if we turn around to Real Sociedad and say, okay, we can pay. If you want to avoid paying the buyout clause and want to amortize it, so spread it over a couple of years. So that could mean we pay like a little bit extra or whatever. To organize a deal.
Do you know what his buyout clause is?
It's about 51 million.
60 million.
Not that much.
Pounds. 51 million pounds, I think it is.
No, it's 60 million pounds.
Euros.
I think it's it's
euros, bro. It's euros.
Sure.
100%. It's about
what I see the other day. I know Ugarte is 60 million euros, but from what I see of the Zubimendi one, I heard someone say that the other day it was 60 million pounds, not euros.
Now I'm going from what I read in the article because I've heard people say that, but I can tell them they're probably just misspeaking. So when everybody quotes numbers, for example, you guys didn't sign Lenny Yoro for 60 million pounds, did you?
No. It's in installments. It works out to like I think about 9 million a season or something like that.
Yeah, but overall, what is it?
52 mil.
50 mil. So when most people spoke about that deal, they quote it in euros or dollars because it makes it sound more inflated. But in essence, it's about the same amount.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to the Zubimendi thing, I think what it is because he said no to Arsenal and Man United apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, were interested in him, but like Fabrizio Romano come out and said that he doesn't know if there was concrete interest, which doesn't really mean much. Because if you talk to a player's agent and say, okay, would he be interested in coming? And they say no, then the answer is no. So you don't go for it. So it makes sense that United will be like, okay, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to waste the time.
Yeah.
the same with Arsenal. So it was probably a similar level, but I think Arsenal watched him more a season ago. I think it was, and I think City did the same thing. They just watched him a season ago. So because of him turning down those deals, and he turned down, I think, Barcelona and Bayern Munich. I think that's why people are saying, "Oh, he wants to one stay in Spain or stay at Sociedad." But at the same time,
I think personally, it's going to be hard for him to leave because you got Barca after him, you know. And again, if Liverpool really want him, there's no negotiation. Just pay the release clause. You know what I mean?
Now, the only negotiation would be if we want to spread the payment out, so we work something out with the club where they could get more money out of it, for example, and we don't have to pay as much up front, so we have more.
So you're paying more over time.
Yes. So we basically have more for this year to spend in the window. Or they may decide just pay the fee up front. So there's different ways we can do it. So they're probably just exploring that now and sorting out his contract. That's what I think they're doing right now, because I don't think we would have gone this public, especially with it, unless there was something going on. So I think
the only problem I would say though for that signing is that for me, I don't know if this signing works in the Premiership for Liverpool, because you've already got someone like Alexis McAllister in there, who's quite a similar ball player to Martin Zubimendi. No. But in terms of the profile, unless it depends what way Liverpool's midfield is going to set up, because Liverpool obviously sat with a deep line defensive midfielder in Fabinho in the past.
But
if Zubimendi comes there, he could obviously play that role. But then if you're going to have Alexis McAllister next to him, and then you're going to have who on the right side of that?
That doesn't. I cannot put
Dominic
it. That role doesn't exist for Liverpool anymore. It's not the same role.
Change that role.
The system's very different in that respect. So if you watched the game when we were playing you had Curtis Jones and Ryan Gravenberch as a double pivot. Klopp never used to play a double pivot. Not really. He used to play staggered eights, but not staggered to the extent or as deep as Slot will play them.
So Curtis Jones is now playing double pivot.
Yeah, that's what he's been playing. The only difference is in Slot's formation is once they progress the ball up the pitch, one of the pivot can go sometimes and join the attack. But in general, when it comes to defending or getting back into shape, it's always two at the back, two in the midfield to anchor that. So with Zubimendi, if it was just him as a lone six, I would have been, oh no, you should have got Emerson. But because
he can play lone six, though. He can play lone six.
He can, but I don't. That's not the system that he was bought for. So if you look at the system, the reason why I'm happy about the signing isn't just because he's a popular name. The main reason I'm happy about the signing is because you brought in a new manager who has a slightly different style of play, and to make his style of play work as fast as possible, you need to identify the right targets that make that particular system work, regardless of whether people think it would work in the Premiership or not. You need to get the right targets to make it click. So if you're profiling a player to make that work, after having watched what I watched in pre-season, that was a profile that we needed most to get through the door first.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you you wanted to get through the door first. I thought you wanted to assess the replacements for obviously Van Dijk, possible Trent, and Salah. I thought that was one of the main things you wanted to address.
Well, there were two things. There were two things with the signings that they said. They said they want to assess the squad for Arne Slot, and they said that signings will happen later on in the season because of the tournaments. So the Copa America, the Euros, and the Olympics. So it's not surprising that now those tournaments are over for a lot of these players, that we're starting to make signings. So that's why I haven't been as stressed, because in the past, for example, you would have like Fabinho signed at the opening of the window. Most of our business would be done in the first 2 weeks of the transfer window.
Yeah.
Because of the change in manager and the change in the backroom staff, and the timing of when that change happened, it makes sense that we didn't make those signings very early on. So the manager having time with the squad, I think, was good because you can look at the younger players and see who he wants to keep in the squad for this season. Who needs to be loaned out and so forth, which is kind of like, if we want to buy a defender, what level of defender do we want to buy? Do we want to buy a Bastoni, or do we want to buy someone who's younger? Do we want to buy someone who's for the future, or do we need a stopgap? Like, what is it? Is Joe Gomez staying? Nat Phillips going? All that kind of stuff.
For Liverpool, in actual fact, them having a left-sided centre back would actually work well for the balance of their team anyway. You know what I mean? Because if you look at all the top clubs, really, all of them really are trying to have balance in terms of having a left-footed on the left side, right-footed on the right side. You know what I mean?
We've been scouting that profile for like 3 seasons. We haven't signed anyone as yet, which has been annoying.
But you know what though? The necessity for it hasn't been there because obviously Van Dijk's there still. So
Van Dijk was still there. Robinson was still fit all the time. So it wasn't really like needed in the club system to push for that. We didn't really need that because of, how can I put it? Because you had Virgil with that long switch to the right, and Trent Alexander-Arnold with that long switch to the left. We had ways of not needing that, basically, and Virgil van Dijk was good in that position. Even though I think he'd be just as good on the right side, I do think that having the option. The reason why I like Calafre is because he could play left back or left centre back, but he was good at both. Which is why I like the idea of signing Bastoni, because he's good at both. So hopefully that's the kind of signing we make next, and then a forward player. But when it comes to Zubimendi, he's exactly what the doctor ordered. When it comes to that midfield, and I was watching the way they was building up, and I watched Endo, like that's who's being replaced at the moment. It's Endo, because Endo was brought as a stopgap when we didn't get Caicedo. Now the profile changed because it's no longer Klopp. If it was still the Klopp system, you would need a Caicedo type player, a very mobile player. But now the system's changed. I think the profile changed slightly because we needed the type of player who could control the game on and off the ball. So we needed more of the intellect in midfield. So I think that's why it's a perfect signing.
Yeah.
Perfect. My only worry is obviously because he's so technically gifted.
Yeah.
I don't want him to have like a Nuri Sahin / Saul Niguez type of like effect where the Premier League's a bit too fast for him and things just fly past him, and he has like the odd moments of brilliance here, and then all of a sudden everyone says, well, he's not good enough, and so forth and so forth, when technically he is. I just wonder, is the speed of the Premier League and the speed of how Liverpool are in transition going to be a problem for him? Do you still think that would make him an ideal signing, or do you think he might be someone where you'd have to pick and choose what games work for him so you can still get the best out of him without him coming under too much scrutiny?
With him, funny enough, I don't think it's the transition in terms of his physical attributes that are going to matter. It's the mental side of it. So how fast can he scan? How fast can he play the pass under pressure? Can he hold the ball up under pressure and make a decision quickly? Because that's what he's going to have to do, because he's going to get pressed heavily in the Premier League and quickly. Yeah. So long as he can keep up with that side of the game, and there's no avoiding that, no matter who we play, at some point in time in the game, someone's going to try and do that to him, especially because of the system that we play in baiting the press. So when it comes to,
get targeted.
Yeah. So in terms of when we play transition football, the runners don't really come from the deep line 6.
Yeah.
So even the other pivot is more like a deep 8 when they push up. So that could be like a McAllister or someone else. They have to run a bit more, but not as much, because the way that we attack heavily involves the wingers, similar to how Klopp used to play with the wingers and the fullbacks.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of running up and down the pitch, it's not going to be the same, because it's it's more possession based. So we recycle the ball a lot more than we would have on the clock. So on the clock, we press, counter press, and we go straight away.
Yeah.
And the only time we would really recycle the ball is when we used to have the team sit like hemmed in their area. Then you'd see it recycle it, move it from side to side. That's where you see Klopp's possession style more. But with Slot's possession style, you see from the build up continuously going through. So we're more inclined to recycle. We're more inclined to play on the trend on a type of transition, because it's not really counter-attacking or transition football. The only way you could call it transition football is just moving the ball quickly through the thirds, but it's not technically just simply long balls. A lot of them are like quick interchange passes, and then you go. So I think for him, he's kind of like the one guy I would say I hope he doesn't get injured, because we don't really have other people that I would want to play his position. I know McAllister can play that position, but I don't want him in that position. So I think I'm happy. I'm just looking forward to the next couple signings, because I think these signings that are being made will most likely be similar to our Alisson and Fabinho signings, our Van Dijk signings. Those players who just made it work, kind of like Gini Wijnaldum. They just made the system work. It's a different system, and I don't really I know people say the Premier League's faster, so forth and so forth. I think it's not just that. I think if you buy the right profile of player that fits your system, then the players are more likely, who are, technically gifted, to acclimatize to that quite well. For example, when Thiago played for us, and that's he did play, his style is highly technical, but he suited that system because the system changed slightly to accommodate him. So he wasn't doing as much running as a Henderson would ever do, for example. So it works. It just, I think so long as the manager and the recruitment team are smart with who they go for, I think moving to the Premier League from a league like La Liga isn't very difficult. I think the Portuguese league, slightly harder. The Bundesliga, it can be hit or miss, and the same with Ligue 1. It's hit or miss.
Then I probably think it comes down to the manager as well, as how well he manages the side and how best he analyzes the whole squad from day to day and from match to match, to really be like, okay, I know we got Thiago, so I know exactly how I'm going to play him. Whereas I think certain managers that have come to Man United probably haven't done that really. They probably just looked at, okay, we've got Rashford, cool, we're going to use the wings. Or we've got Fernandes, everything must go through Fernandes. Whatever happens with the rest is what happens at the rest. And I think Solskjaer kind of got it right to a certain extent. He knew that Fred was going to run, so Fernandes could have a free role. Scott was just going to be there to just be there. And then obviously with the Ronaldo signing, like he said, he needs people that the team needed to run. And when we were running, we were working. And then once Ronaldo came, it was just like, all right, so the ball's basically going to go through Bruno and it's going to go through Ronaldo. Whatever everybody else is doing is whatever everybody else is doing. And that's where I think our problems came, is our managers probably aren't analysing every single player and putting out a team that works with every single player, just like them
You know
saying...
what? I never thought I'd do this, I think I need to defend Solskjaer, because the player that he wanted was Haaland.
Yeah.
And he got Ronaldo. The only reason why you bought Ronaldo is because he didn't want him to go to City.
Haaland wouldn't have worked in this system though, as well. Haaland wouldn't have worked in this Man United system. The thing is, the Haaland that you're seeing now at Man City is perfect for Haaland, because Man City have a ton of creators and he's like the missing piece. So in a sense where you've got, he's got his physical attributes and he's got his pace. He's got his, I wouldn't say he's a great finisher, but he obviously can score goals. And he'd work perfectly for Man City system because everything is geared towards getting him goals. Now,
hold on. When Solskjaer was there,
yeah,
one of your best players during that period of time was Bruno Fernandes. He was doing numbers.
I wouldn't say Bruno Fernandes was
no,
one
but
of the
he
best
was
players.
doing numbers. He was doing numbers during that period of time.
But again, numbers don't mean that you're the best player. That this is what people
I'm
need
not,
to
okay.
need to
The
realize.
best performing player, yeah. So during that
Okay.
time, you could probably pick someone else that you liked, but if you matched his numbers with what he was putting on the plate for players with Haaland, that would have worked.
I'll tell you why it wouldn't have worked. Yeah, I'll tell you why it wouldn't have worked. It's the same reason why Bruno and Ronaldo didn't work. It's because you said to me, obviously Bruno's numbers. Yeah, Bruno's numbers went down as soon as